Hi everybody, Tim Hughes here. I'm the CEO and co-founder of DLA Ignite. I'm here with Craig Fisher. Craig and I are going to talk about how to be the CEO of you. We're also going to be talking about LinkedIn SEO, which is different from Google SEO. So before we get into that, Craig, where can people find you?
Thanks, Tim. I am always on the interwebs at FishDogs, which is my hacker name on Twitter and Instagram. You can find me at craigfisher.info and at my company page, talentnetmedia.com.
Fantastic. And your I know because I've looked you up. You are Fisher Dogs, aren't you?
FishDogs. That's correct.
FishDogs. Yeah.
Yeah.
And you're happy to take comments, questions, anything from the audience if they come up with anything.
Absolutely.
Right. And we've already had one hello, so thank you.
And hello.
Yeah. So just give me an overview of your journey, because you've got a really interesting journey in kind of how you've got here and how you've learned all this stuff.
Yeah, so I'm one of the few people that can say they actually use their college degree as it's supposed to be used. I've got an advertising degree from the University of Oklahoma, but
right.
I didn't start out that way. I started out selling pharmaceuticals and hospital equipment because I had to pay some bills and get those college loans paid off. I got really well into that and had an engaging time moving up in that space and hiring regionally for my teams. And the way I got into that even was by studying the way those companies hired. So I stuck around an extra semester at school and did an internship with a company that actually put boxed up medical supplies, put them on a van and drove them to doctors' offices. So I got 6 months experience doing that. Then I was in the December graduating class instead of the spring graduating class. And so my competition was lower. And so I nailed it. The Glaxo Pharmaceuticals came to school and said, God, that's the guy right there. And so that whole process sort of set me in motion into learning how hiring managers operate, learning how job seekers can do better. And when I got the opportunity to hire for those teams, I always really enjoyed the process. And I helped my friends get into that business. And then the recruiting craze started in the mid 90s. And a lot of my friends jumped from hospital sales into physician recruitment. And I got recruited into that business and have been there ever since in the recruiting space.
And you've also got a technical background, haven't you? Because you've actually, because you talk about your hacker name, but there's a technical skill there as well, isn't there?
Yeah, there is. So anything I've ever done, I've sort of created my own promotion about, just so I could have an edge, right? So I'll make my own ads, my own flyers, whatever you have. And I started teaching myself while I was a recruiter at Matrix Resources, my first technical recruiting job in the late 90s. Photoshop and Visual Basic and all the Visual Studio skills that were available at the time, and web design. And I was doing it so that I could build landing pages and blogs and other ways to attempt to learn the products and the strategies that my products, my quarry, if you will, were using, right? And I'm trying to attract these tech people. And so I could post things in their Hangouts online as a guy actually trying to teach himself to code. And it worked. I mean, I wasn't a nuisance. I wasn't the recruiter that was just always there recruiting. I posted a lot of helpful things, asked a lot of questions. And then every once in a while, oh, by the way, we're hiring. And I got accepted sort of into that community. And then my next iteration in recruiting was leading a team that actually built software developer teams for all the big consulting companies. So Accenture, Deloitte, et cetera, to implement enterprise HR and financial software sort of all over the world at big employers. And so that's where I got my basis in HR tech, was really understanding Oracle and SAP and PeopleSoft. And I learned that space inside out, which is great experience.
And you got into LinkedIn quite early as well?
I did. So LinkedIn for me was, another brilliant piece of the puzzle that came along. And I was one of the first, 150,000 people to use it, and quickly sort of took it apart, right? At this point, I knew what back-end code looks like. And I figured out all these ways that Google could access LinkedIn and how I could sort of hack it for search results. And the rest is history. It worked really well. I started building a big network there, and optimizing my own profile so that it would come up high in search results for certain jobs when people would go search for those jobs in certain locations. And
so this is people searching on Google, but then Google then indexing and then searching on LinkedIn, and then you're the answer on Google. Is that from your LinkedIn profile?
That's correct. So both Google and LinkedIn, they don't use the exact same search model certainly anymore, but LinkedIn is highly indexed by Google.
Yep.
And they've threatened for years to stop doing that, but they never have, because that's where all their traffic comes from.
It's where all the content is.
Correct. That's how they're able to sell licenses to employers to say, look, we've got the traffic, we've got the people. It's because it's really highly indexed by LinkedIn, as it would be if you had a database, an open database of hundreds of thousands or millions of basically resume data.
So what is it that you found out, and how were you able to actually hack this and get your profile up to the top? So what were the techniques that you were using?
Right. So do you remember the days when we would tell job seekers to put extra keywords in their resumes in white text, right, at the bottom of their, and that became kind of taboo. You don't want to do that anymore. But it turns out you can just put those extra keywords in any kind of text you want to all throughout your LinkedIn profile. And so, for instance, if you want to come up high in Raspberry Pi developer jobs in Plano, Texas, you would put those words in your LinkedIn profile in multiple places. And so that's what we did. My headline would be something exactly right like that. Currently hiring for JavaScript developers in a very specific location for great jobs. So a couple of things there. Search engines use proximity.
Yes, I was about to ask about this.
Yeah, for search. So you want to be have your name near the specific keywords, not general things, but specific keywords like a technology, near the word jobs, because that's the one thing that job seekers almost categorically use to search for jobs is the word jobs, because otherwise you just get resumes in a search.
Yep.
And near a location, because even if I'm searching for something that I could find sort of universally online, like a service, coaching service or whatever, I'm still going to use a location to narrow it down. I prefer to find someone near me, and the vast majority of people do it that way. Mm-hmm. So if you put your name near those specific keywords, near locations and the word jobs, if you're a recruiter, you're going to come up higher in search results. And it turns out, if you get multiple people in your organization to do that, your whole company can start coming up higher in search results for those search terms.
So, I mean, it's not for company to basically appear on Google. One of the things that they can therefore do is to empower all of the employees to do keywords across their LinkedIn profile.
Correct. Absolutely. And it works. We've seen it time and time again. It works so well, in fact, that LinkedIn eventually hired our team. I worked with a group called Ajax Social Media. It became Ajax Workforce Marketing, started by the great Jason Seiden. We got selected to become the LinkedIn Pimp My Profile station at LinkedIn's Talent Connect conference. So that whole program is now called Rock My Profile. Right. If you've been to a Talent Connect conference, you've seen it. But we started that, and LinkedIn also engaged us to train all of their sales teams on how to do this. So my keyword stacking protocol got adopted as an internal best practice by LinkedIn, and they, for years, and I think they still do, call it job tagging.
Right.
Right. Because then I'll take those same keywords that you put in bold. And by the way, any place in bold or near bold text on your profile is highly search optimized. But then I build a keyword stack in my about section, and again in my experience. And if you see my profile on LinkedIn, you'll know exactly what I'm doing. And it's very straightforward stuff, but no one thinks to tell you this when they're teaching you how to optimize your LinkedIn profile.
So is it the importance is to have it in bold? Is it in terms of the?
No, it doesn't have to be in bold, but those places you definitely want those keywords. So your headline, certainly your job titles, right? So I'm the founder of TalentNet Media, but I also put a bunch of keywords in a long tail on the back of that in my job title. So it also says employer branding, recruitment, marketing, technology strategy for employers. And then same thing with the rest of my jobs, right? I get extra keywords in there, either in the description or in the job title. And one fun thing you can do is if you're going to update your job title like that, go ahead and for the first one, turn on the alert for notifying, your network on LinkedIn.
Yeah.
And then they'll all get a notification to congratulate Craig Fisher on his new role, his new position, right? And all I'm doing is a free advertisement for myself.
Yes.
So you could say, you could change your job title to, Craig Fisher, recruiter at Amazon Corporation, currently hiring JavaScript developers for great jobs in Seattle, Washington.
Right.
Okay. And then you just make sure that everybody's notified about that, change your job title, and everyone gets notified, your entire network. And it works like a charm. People will say, they'll start referring people to you because they see this. You don't want to do it all the time.
Yes.
Because you're going to burn out your network. But LinkedIn doesn't think this is dirty pool. They actually asked me to write an article about it. They think it's great. And so try that next time you're trying to get some sort of new message across.
And I would think that the algorithm, because you've put that, if you post that and say you've changed your job, yes, so what? But the fact that you're getting engagement on that, the algorithm must go, oh, here's an interesting post, and keep basically moving it up to the top.
It does. And because it's already built in to what LinkedIn does, it says, congratulate these folks on their new job titles or whatever. If you have written something that's interesting and it's not something real boring, like, HR business partner level 2, but you put something interesting there that people would care about, and they're going to say, that's pretty smart. Yeah, people will start liking it and commenting.
So we also talked about sharing content, and you talk about the 5-to-1 give to ask ratio as well. Do you want to talk through that?
Yeah, absolutely. So one of the things that I started a long time ago when I was teaching myself to code and hanging out in the AOL chat rooms of the developers I was trying to recruit was to be a good network citizen and not just sell or ask for things all the time, right? And so it's the 80-20 principle. It works in relationships of all kinds. If you give 5 times more than you ask, then you're more likely to receive when you make that one ask occasionally. So, share something topical and interesting, share something slightly personal about yourself, something humorous, something educational, and do this 5 times before you ever say, oh, and by the way, if you know anyone for this role, could you please refer someone? Or if you're in need of recruitment, marketing, and technology strategy services for hiring, I'm a great resource. But I'm giving constantly. I'm constantly posting stuff out there that is not an ask. And so 5-to-1 is easy to follow. There's some math and science to the 80-20 principle. And if you apply it to your content strategy, it just works, and it's easy to remember.
I really love that. I think that there's too many people coming on LinkedIn posting brochures that nobody's interested in, and then basically saying, buy my stuff.
Yes, absolutely. I'm also a big fan of not making an ask like, I'd love to know more about your business as soon as someone connects with you. Yeah. That's an immediate ask. So no thanks.
Yeah. So you talk about being a good network contributor. What do you mean by that?
Right. So,
And I'm only asking you this, Craig, because I see a lot of people out there that are not good network contributors. And
yes, I 100% agree. There's a lot of people that are posting sort of daily videos that are kind of just continuations from the day before's video, and they're not engaging people in the conversation. They're just sort of racking up clicks, which is okay. But I try to write something interesting if I'm going to post a video at the beginning of it. So if you don't have time to watch my video, at least you can see what the high points are and maybe save it for later. But the other thing is you have to go like, comment, and share other people's content.
Yeah.
You want to show up in your network's peripheral vision on a regular basis.
Yeah.
And whenever you do that, when you like somebody else's something, that's goodwill, and your network sees that. Craig Fisher liked this. It might be, interesting and worth reading. And being a good network citizen is just being a good person online, but you have to schedule time to do it. You have to remember to make time, and consistency, Tim, is the key.
Yeah.
For all of this stuff, if you're going to post stuff on a regular basis, however often it is, if it's once a week or 2 or 3 times a week, and you're going to go like people's stuff and then, contribute, be consistent. Don't do it just while you're job seeking or just while you're ramping up a search or just when you have some initiative. Keep going, keep going, keep going across time. I've been doing it since 2005 and it pays off. It really does.
Yeah, I've got a meeting with somebody tomorrow. Purely because of the fact that I made a comment on one of their posts. They came and looked at my profile and they said, "You sound really interesting. I'd like to hear what you do." Yeah. And it's a genuine request. It's not that they're going to try and sell me something.
Yeah.
And you do get this. This network contributor where you're talking to people and building relationships and building meaningful relationships, not relationships.
That's the thing. So if I suggest in the about section of your profile that you put something close to the top that is slightly personal about yourself. So if you look at mine, you'll see that it says I'm the father of 3 amazing boys and we live outside of Dallas, Texas by Grapevine Lake. Have like 3 things that you're ready to share that are slightly personal on a regular basis. So you become more of a 3D person to your audience. And then beyond that, they're going to look and see what your activity is. If they're any good at research, they're going to say, what kinds of things have you liked and shared? And if they're interested in you, then you do become, a more close and personal relation to that person, just based on your giving back to your network.
Yeah. And I had a call with Evelyn just the other day, and purely that was she asked me a question. She'd been given certain advice, and I said no. And I said, let's get on a call and let's talk about it. And I basically explained to her about what she should do. There's nothing to that. It's just about basically paying it back.
It's taking a little bit of time, and it does take time, and it takes effort, and it takes thought, and it takes you disengaging from the other things that you're doing. But you're mentoring people, and I've mentored people the entire time I've been, probably since college, right? And I never thought of it as mentoring until someone asked me to mentor
I've never thought about it until you just said that.
Yeah, but you're mentoring people.
Yeah. And so what we were talking about, the headline, which is about how to be the CEO of you. So we've kind of gone through this about putting keywords in the right places, sharing content, being a good network contributor. So how do you be the CEO of you?
So you've got your profile, right? You've written your story pretty well. You've written something slightly personal about yourself. You've got keywords in the right place so that people know exactly what it is you do. It's not a secret, and you can be found on, LinkedIn and Google searches. You're showing up on a regular basis by sharing content and by liking other people's stuff. You're in people's peripheral vision on a regular basis. If you want to take it a step further and actually target new prospects, new customers, whatever it is, do some scholarly research, do a survey, research either the types of industries or people or companies that you want to work with and make them specific, right? Say there's a group of developers that you want to get in with, research the types of things they've done on GitHub, compare and contrast to, what other people do, write something serious about it, put it on your LinkedIn profile, and post it there with a video talking about the results that you've got, right? And then tag all those people that you want to get the attention of. Hey, what do you think? I wrote this about you specifically. If you're looking for a job, compare 3 or 4 employers and look at the functions that you want to do in their organization. And from the outside world, do an audit of how they do it and write something, interesting about it. Find some data, do some research, and post it. Again, write it on your LinkedIn profile and come up with some, interesting sort of title. Because if you do, survey results say that 3 out of 4 employers are not actually doing anything about diversity. All right. These types of things get picked up by the LinkedIn news editors. Okay. Quote some people in it. Quote some research in it, and then post it to your LinkedIn profile, put a video about it on there, write a good long description of it in the text, and then tag the people who you want to do work with. Tag all the recruiters from that company if you're looking for a job, and the hiring managers. They're easy to find with simple research, and keep doing this and build the subject matter expertise that you want to be known for by constantly doing some research or posting about those things that you want to do work in. And eventually people will ask you to come on their podcast and talk about it. And people will say, hey, could you help my organization? We've got this little project. And it doesn't take months. It takes weeks for that to start happening. And all of a sudden you've got gigs. And then very often those gigs turn into offers for jobs.
I love that, and I think it's as Evelyn said, it's sage advice, and I agree with what Carrie says, that it's a marathon, not a sprint. But but I don't want people to be put off by that. We're not saying it takes years. The speed of things happening on social. I mean, if you put up you talked about create some research, make a video, create a blog, and tagging some people.
Yeah.
So one of my team, he put up a post. A post today, he's already got a meeting off the back of it.
Yeah.
It does happen at the speed of light.
It happens very quickly.
When we say it's a marathon, it doesn't necessarily take years. It can take days.
Correct.
Or hours.
So when AI and chatbots first got to be all the rage, in 2016, my company that I was working for at the time, it was Allegis Global Solutions, and we were one of the first to put an enterprise chatbot on a career site, with a big company. And I did some very simple research about it. I surveyed a lot of the people who had applied to our company over the last year and asked them, 4 simple questions. How do you feel about engaging with chatbots at the beginning of a recruitment process for details like scheduling an interview or handling an assessment, things like that? And the answers were overwhelmingly positive, that people didn't mind that at all. They feel that's fine. They were already used to doing it on the website of their bank or Amazon or wherever it is that they're doing, commerce. And so the consumer experience translated very well. But it wasn't until I wrote an article about it with an infographic about the results, posted it on LinkedIn, did a video about it, and then tagged a bunch of the analysts and writers that I knew who might care about it, that it then got written up in Forbes and Fortune and a few other places. And so that has now become one of the things that a lot of people use in their research about the way job candidates feel about interacting with AI and chatbots. And so it's foundational, but it was just a simple thing that I did. It didn't cost any money at all. And I didn't pay any PR firms. And, we got all this wonderful publicity from it.
Craig, thank you so much for coming on today. It's taken us a little while to actually get together, but it's been really insightful. Thank you so much. You shared so much, and you can tell by the audience participation and the gratitude that they're feeling as well. So thank you so much for this.
Thanks for having me, Tim. It's been fun, and it's great to see you as always.
Yeah. Well, thanks, and I'm glad that we've done this the second time, because. I know we had some technical problems the first time, but it's even better, I think, this time. So and Mark says thank you as well. So I know Mark from from a big. We used to work at a big company together, big US software company together.
All right.
So thanks, Craig. Really appreciate you coming on today and sharing your insight.
Thanks, everyone. Good to see you all.
And remind me, where can people find you?
Yes, talentnetmedia.com or craigfisher.info. And as always, at Fish Dogs.
Fish Dogs.
On Instagram and Twitter.
Fantastic. Craig, thank you so much for today. Appreciate it.
Thanks, Tim.
Thanks. Bye.